Sheikh Hamdan built a home for her, then was told to leave it. He built it with intention. Not the way palaces are built, not as an expression of power or wealth or the kind of architectural statement that royal families make when they want the world to understand something about their position and their permanence. He built it the way a person builds something when they are trying to create a place that belongs to a life rather than to an image. A real place, a private one, a place where the managed surface of his public existence did not have to be maintained, because the people inside it already knew who he was underneath it and did not require the performance. He put thought into it that had nothing to do with how it would look from the outside and everything to do with how it would feel from the inside. For her, for the life he was hoping they were going to live inside it. And then his father told him to leave. And the home he had built with that specific intention became something he was not allowed to return to in the way he had built it to be returned to. And the loss of it, the particular, specific architectural loss of a place that had been made with real care for a real life that was then taken away, is one of the most quietly devastating details in the entire story of Sheikh Hamdan. Most people understand loss in terms of people. The person who left, the relationship that ended, the connection that was there and then was not. But there is another kind of loss that sits alongside the loss of the person and amplifies it in a way that makes the total heavier than the sum of its parts. The loss of the place, the specific physical space that held the life that has now ended. The rooms that knew what the relationship looked and sounded and felt like from the inside. The corners and the light and the specific arrangement of things that was the material expression of two people choosing to build something together. When a relationship ends, you lose the person, but you also lose the place. And sometimes the place is the loss that takes longest to process because it is the one that had the most intention built into it. Hamdan has always had places. The palace that the world knows about, the official residences that come with the title and the position and the requirements of the role. But those places are not his in the way that the place he built for her was his. The official spaces belong to the crown prince. They are decorated and maintained and managed with the same care that everything in his public life is managed, with attention to the image, the impression, the message that the space sends to the people who are permitted to see it. They are beautiful. They are extraordinary by any conventional measure, but they are not personal. They do not hold the specific fingerprints of a man making choices purely for himself. They hold the fingerprints of an institution. The place he built for her was different. It was private in the way that the official spaces never are. Small, relatively, compared to the scale of what his position typically produces, but chosen and arranged with the kind of careful attention that comes from someone who is trying to make something feel like home rather than like a statement. He thought about what she would want, about the spaces that thought would work for the life he was imagining them living there together, about the light at different times of day, and the places where they would spend the ordinary hours that make up the texture of a shared life when it is working the way a shared life is supposed to work. He built it the way people build things when they believe what they are building is going to last. She moved into it, not officially, not in any way that the palace acknowledged or that became part of any public record. But she was there. The home was lived in the way he had intended it to be lived in, with the presence of the person it had been built for, with the daily reality of a shared life that existed completely outside the official story of the Crown Prince of Dubai. The children were there, the ordinary rhythms of family were there. The mornings and evenings and the particular quality of time passing inside a space that has been made to hold something real were there. And for the period when all of that was present, The home was exactly what he had built it to be, a place that belonged to the real life rather than the performed one. And then his father told him to leave it. The order did not come without context. The political circumstances that had been shifting in the months before it became unavoidable had been building toward this. Sheikh Mohammed's assessment of what his son's life needed to look like, of where Hamdan needed to be positioned, with whom, under what official arrangements, left no room for the private home and the private life it contained. What Hamdan had built was incompatible with what the plan required. And the plan, as it always has in his life, took precedence over the building. He was told to leave, not with drama, not with the kind of confrontation that leaves visible damage in its wake. Just clearly, quietly, with the specific efficiency that Sheikh Mohammed applies to decisions he has already fully made. Told that the home he had built was not where he was going to be living anymore. He left because that is what he does when the authority that has always governed the shape of his life asserts itself over the choices he has tried to make within it. He left the home he had built with intention for the life he had been hoping to live. He left her there, in the space he had made for her, to manage the transition from the life they had been living to whatever came after. He left the children in a place he had chosen for them, knowing that the choosing was now going to be undone by the same forces that had undone every other choice he had tried to make that did not fit the plan. And he went back to the official spaces, the ones that belong to the crown prince rather than to the man, the ones that hold no fingerprints of personal intention because everything in them was chosen by the institution rather than by him. The home still exists. Buildings do not disappear when the lives that were lived inside them end. The rooms are still there. The light still comes through the windows at the same times of day that he thought about when he was choosing where they would be. The space that was made to hold a specific life continues to exist after that. Life has been removed from it. And somewhere in the ongoing reality of that continued existence, in the fact that the place is still there, even though the life it was built for is not, there is a particular kind of grief that sits alongside all the others Hamdan carries. The grief of a builder who built something real and was told to walk away from it before the building had the chance to become everything it was meant to be. His poetry from after the leaving carries the quality of a man writing from unfamiliar spaces, a slight disorientation, a reaching for something familiar that is no longer in the place where it used to be. Not obvious enough for someone who does not know the context to identify, but there for the people who do know, in the words, in the way the feeling in them moves, in the specific homesickness of a man who built a home and then lost it before it was finished becoming what he needed it to become. He built it with intention. He was told to leave. And the home he made, real and private and full of the fingerprints of a man trying to build a life that was actually his, is still standing somewhere, holding the memory of what it was supposed to be. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Every week I bring you the real story of Sheikh Hamdan, the homes he built, the lives he tried to make inside them, and the truth about what it costs a man to build something real and then be told he has to leave it behind.